The two biggest underdogs in the Sweet 16 are both SEC teams that are good enough to make the Final Four. Let's talk about one of them, and that would be Arkansas as they battle Arizona on Thursday night in San Jose, California. Right now, looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen, I'm seeing mostly 7.5s out there for Arizona. There are some 8s on the board. Total sitting in the 166.5 range. And by the way, guys, oddslogic.com/Teddy, free 7-day trial. If you're interested in live lines and actually winning at sports betting and not losing games by a half point because you missed a number, try it. Free. oddslogic.com/Teddy. But again, the screen's saying there are 7.5s and 8s out there. Total 166.5. Let's call that the prevailing number. You can find 166s. You can find 167s if you shop around. And we're talking about a team like Arkansas catching points like this. And I talk reference to Alabama, who's catching 10. It's not like the SEC wasn't really tough. Maybe not quite as tough as the Big Ten, but certainly, when you're ranking conferences this year, SEC is going to be a minimum number 2. If not number 1. And obviously, you don't want to leave the Big 12 out of the equation because they certainly had a fantastic season as well. But the point is this. You're not necessarily expecting this big of a spread for this good of a team. So why is the spread as high as it is? Why is our Arizona getting the betting market respect that they are? Well, some of it's full season numbers. Certainly Arkansas now is better than they were early in the campaign. Some of it's the fact that when Arkansas stepped up in class, when they've been losing games, they've been tending to lose by margin. They lost by 9 to Duke on a neutral floor. They lost by 9 to Houston on a neutral floor. They lost by 22 at Auburn. They lost by 14 at Georgia. They got bombed in a recent loss at Florida. And again, some of that was circumstantial, but they lost that game by 34. But we've seen when Arkansas loses, they're getting slapped around a little bit. And that's certainly a factor in this equation because, again, we're seeing our Arkansas team right now that, as we expect for Calipari's teams, especially for a team like this that has maybe the number 1 pick in the draft. I don't think Cuff's going to get there, but certainly a guy who is playing a freshman. When you have the freshman level of talent that Calipari recruits, you expect those teams to get better as the season progresses, and that certainly happened with Arkansas. No doubt about it. And they've been making money for all their backers of late. They closed out the regular season where they go 7-2 ATS their last 9, and in the postseason, while it hasn't been quite as good, because they didn't cash in the SEC tournament. They split now in the last 2 games here in the Big Dance. And, they did beat up on Vandy and win an SEC title. So there's certainly an Arkansas team right now that has played better down the stretch than they did full season numbers. That being said, Arizona is the undervalued commodity of these two squads, plain and simple. And I don't know if they're undervalued. Obviously, they're laying 7.5, 8 points. But Arizona, all the Wildcats have done this year has been as dominant as any team in college basketball. The low post presence has been unbelievable. The statistical profile has been through the roof. And the margins of victory have been consistently large. Now, last time out against Utah State. And again, neither one of these teams has been tested here in the tournament. Where we have High Point. Not that High Point can't test you, but there's a different level of athleticism that they're going to be facing here, a different level of talent than they faced in the last couple of games. Utah State, and again, Utah State's a really good team. And that game, bounced all around the number 11.5, 12, 12.5, and ended up winning by 12. But Utah State's not Arkansas. High Point's not Arizona. So Hawaii's not Arizona. So what these teams have faced so far, LIU isn't either one, isn't anything. And that was pretty clear in Arizona's blowout in that first NCAA tournament game. But the bottom line for me with the Wildcats is this has been, it was real early in the year where someone went to it was the Auburn game when Auburn faced Arizona and just got annihilated. And that was the game to me. That was back the beginning of the first week of December. And that was a game to me that said, watch out for this Arizona team. This is not a team you want to step in front of. And lo and behold, What did they do after that? They beat up on Alabama, and they've pretty much dominated everyone since. Now they have 2 losses, and they both came back to back. They had a 4-point loss at Kansas, and they lost in overtime against Texas Tech. All right, so it's not like but those 2 losses, all right, both competitive down to the wire games, and nothing to be ashamed of either. 2 tournament teams. It's an Arizona team I think is very live. When we talk about what's the upside, I don't think Arkansas is Final Four team, and I think Arizona is. I think Arizona has the potential to be a championship team this year. In at least one of my brackets, I got an Arizona-Michigan final, and I would not be surprised. I think it's an Arizona-Michigan final. I forget if they face in the final. I have Arizona surviving and advancing. Okay, I'm a believer in this Wildcats team. And for all the success that Calipari's squad has had, this is the matchup I think that gives them the most trouble because they're not going to be able to penetrate Arizona's defense. I'm a believer in the Wildcats' ability to keep opposing teams out of the paint. So, again, the point spread's high. It's not a bargain here, 7.5, 8. But if I'm playing, I'm laying. Calipari and company go bye-bye, and Arizona survives and advances. There's my take. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate all the likes, the comments, the follows. Visit the website, wagertalk.com. Check out the Odds Logic live odds screen. And stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content. Have yourself a great day. Have yourself a great night. And cheers. Thanks for watching.